Hi, konnichiwa. Last time, I talked about where Bodhisattva Gadgadasvara came from. Bodhisattva Gadgadasvara came out of the spirit of Buddha. It means to receive impressions from the third-dimensional world through the five liberated senses, that is, Ju-Sou-Gyo-Siki, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. It's not something like curry and rice, a train station, or cityscape that comes to your mind. The spirit of the Buddha was already liberated. Moreover, the minds of the disciples who listened to the Lotus Sutra were also liberated. There was really nothing but a pure vacuum there. It was Bodhisattva Gadgadasvara who came out of that vacuum. It was an inspiration by the Buddha. There was an infinite Eastern world inner of the Buddha's spiritual vacuum. There were Buddha lands. There was a land called Jokoshogun beyond the Buddha lands. From there was the Buddha land of Kamaradalavimhalanaksitaraja Samkusumidabhijna. A story that says the Bodhisattva came out from there is mixed. He was a kind of inspiration born in a vacuum. He was an inspiration born in a vacuum through Buddha Shakyamuni. By his mouth in the third-dimensional world where he was. The Bodhisattva would be talked about in his disciples' vacuum, and then he would go back into the vacuum. But by saying it, it would be described in the sutras of the third-dimensional world, and then it would be placed in the third-dimensional world as words. So, the disciples were in a vacuum, Buddha also was in it, and then he had a flash of inspiration for Bodhisattva Gadgadasvara, and Buddha talked about him. He spoke about him and finished speaking. It was like a vacuum talking to itself. He talks to himself, and then he, Bodhisattva Maitreya, says, "Oh, well, I used to be a foolish thing called fame seeker, see chapter 1. There I became a disciple of my Tathagata, studied hard, was liberated, and was given my Juki. Then I was reborn again in this third-dimensional world and opened the Lotus Sutra. Buddha suddenly shone a beam from between his eyebrows. The light shone from the top of heaven to the bottom of hell. And within that world there were infinite parallel universes where bodhisattvas were working hard to preach their teachings. And there are also tathagatas doing so. What is this world? Why did Buddha create such an amazing world?" He said. The scripture that Maitreya read, that is Bodhisattva Manjushri, said, that is because he was holding a meeting to give his teachings. It's for the meeting. He also said, that is Kyoku-kai. Maitreya, you've already received your Juki from another Tathagata a long time ago. You came to this world and read the Lotus Sutra. Now, you are inside of it. And Buddha shone a light from his glabella. That light illuminated the various Buddha lands. He said, I'm going to hold a Kyoku-kai now, and you should participate in it too. So, it would finally be held in chapter 11 of the site of the treasure stupa. In order to participate in it, he created a Big Bang and spread his world. And there were many worlds there. The people who gathered there were all emancipated disciples, Tathagata, and you, and Bodhisattva Maitreya, who has been so. And so, what was born out of that was the word of Bodhisattva Gadgadasvara. And the one who was listening to that was you who would become a Tathagata and you who would be doing the Bodhisattva's way in the future. And Bodhisattva Maitreya who came there also received his Juki in the past, so he is also a super great Bodhisattva of the future. Essentially, all of you were vacuums, so you were just listening to your own soliloquy. A vacuum was doing so. They couldn't just listen to themselves talking to their soliloquy, so if they have given it a storyline, worlds were born here and there, and then everyone received a Juki there and was reborn as bodhisattvas, and there were big bags, and then each of them became a tathagata, and everyone was listening to themselves as a vacuum. It's a story for explanation. It was made as a story. It's monotonous to just listen to it. You can't understand it unless there is a story in it. Because it is hard to understand without the storyline. This world is also a story that is made up of means for explanations. The story itself, that you met me in this world, that you would be emancipated, receive a Juki, devote faith, and be reborn. It's a story about an essential vacuum trying to figure out what itself is. What is Bodhisattva Gadgadasvara? Hawking said that there was some kind of energy state in the empty vacuum before the Big Bang. The energy state is called a fluctuation of reason, isn't it, in physics? This energy state is Bodhisattva Gadgadasvara. It's also called Myōon, wonder sound. This fluctuating energy is wonder sound, and the energy in that mind can transform into anything. The word for that is Bodhisattva Gadgadasvara. For Bodhisattva Gadgadasvara to exist, he had to be born in the third-dimensional world of tathagata Bodhisattvaraga, and received the Juki, was reborn to other worlds many times, spread the Lotus Sutra there, saw the brilliance of wisdom, and came to the world of Buddha Shakyamuni in his final life as a bodhisattva. This is the storyline. The power to create this storyline is a fluctuating energy state within the vacuum before the beginning of the universe. This fluctuation is called Myōon, heavenly voice, wonder sound, exquisite tones, a kind of vibration frequency that cannot be formed. This frequency, by the Buddha's inspiration, became the story of Bodhisattva Gadgadasvara. At the beginning of his story, he started out as fame seeker. However, after studying under the Tathagata, he was given a Juki, was reborn and opened the Lotus Sutra in his first life. Buddha showed him his world by a beam from between his eyebrows. There were many different Buddha lands. In the midst of them, Tathagatas were teaching. Why on earth did Buddha create this world? He said it was a means for explanation. He created a narrative of the past process by which he, the vacuum, understood that he was a vacuum. A third-dimensional world is a relative world where its storyline is on a material level. But when we are liberated from that world, we finally enter a Buddha land. And from there, we are reborn many times. And finally, we understand about a Tathagata who gave us a Juki from all the infinitely connected worlds. And finally, we become enlightened and become a Tathagata. All living beings have become enlightened and have become Tathagatas, and have finished giving all Jukis. That state, Anutpatikadharmakusanti, is the state of no birth, the state of no beginning, because it is a state in which nothing has begun. There are infinite beginnings, infinite processes, and infinite perfections within. When you look at it from above, you see that nothing has begun. So, it's a story. In the beginning, it used words to describe the form and the storyline, and then the words took shape in a third-dimensional world, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth-dimensional worlds. Above those, there is a Buddha land. From the Buddha land, if you go to a third-dimensional world, you can enter the Lotus Sutra and participate in the Kyoku-kai, which is connected flexibly. There is no limit number of that. The 11th-dimensional world is where that all ended. And this is also the state where nothing has begun. Anutpatikadharmakusanti. Because nothing started yet, there are infinite beginnings, infinite processes, and infinite completions, and it have evolved through them as various life forms. All of that was nothing but a vacuum, and that was itself. The vacuum created all these stories to understand itself. One of those stories is this world, and you are one of them. Therefore, all people have Buddha nature on top. We are connected to that level, but people who are not good at it say, we can't connect to it. Do you understand? So, there's a system of Tathagatas and Bodhisattvas, and there are systems of Juki, Sarvarupas and Darshana, and super great Bodhisattvas, missionary work spreading throughout the world. Then, they become Tathagatas. They all preach, give Juki, and have self-extinct. The 11th dimensional world is the one where all Tathagatas have passed away. The world is tathagata prabhu. Within it, bodies of the all tathagatas are put as one mass. That is the whole body of tathagata prabhu. The whole body of each and every tathagata is an infinitely flexible world. A state where the worlds end up becoming lumped together further. That is tathagata prabhu. And when you look at it, you see a state where nothing has begun. At the same time, there is an infinite beginning, an infinite process, and an infinite completion. And when the four forces of nature become one, it's called enlightenment. Do you understand? That's all for today.